Hello, dreamer. Close your eyes, but not just yet. First, let your breath settle, soft and slow, like snow on a still lake. Wherever you are tonight, whether curled beneath blankets or stretched out like a starfish, know this: you're not alone. There are dreamers like you, listening across oceans and cities, forests and rooftops. Before we begin, leave a comment. Tell us where you're listening from. Let's build this circle of calm, one voice at a time. Tonight, we step into the Workshop of Unravelling Clocks, a clockmaker's atelier where time dissolves into golden threads that weave themselves into tapestries of forgotten moments. When you're ready, let the weight of today dissolve into the hum of distant constellations. In the forgotten corridor where dust motes dance like tiny stars, Ilara discovers a door she has never seen before. The oak is dark with age, its surface carved with intricate spirals that seem to shift when she isn't looking directly at them. Her fingertips trace the wood, silk, warmed by candlelight, smooth and impossibly alive beneath her touch. From beyond the door comes a sound unlike anything in the waking world. Brass humming, lullabies drifts through the keyhole, a metallic song that makes her heart slow to match its rhythm. The melody carries memories of grandfather clocks in childhood homes, of pocket watches tucked into vest pockets, of time when it moved like honey instead of lightning. She presses her ear against the door, breathing in the scent that seeps through the ancient wood. Vanilla and warm copper fills her lungs, sweet and metallic, like the inside of a music box mixed with her grandmother's kitchen on baking day. The fragrance makes her eyelids heavy with nostalgia. The brass handle turns beneath her palm, warm as if someone has just released it. As the door swings open, golden light spills across her face, and she sees into a workshop where impossible things happen to time itself. Clocks of every size and shape fill the space, but they are not keeping time. They are releasing it. She steps across the threshold, feeling the silk-warmed wood beneath her feet give way to something softer. The brass humming lullabies grow stronger, wrapping around her like a gentle embrace. The vanilla and warm copper scent deepens, and she realizes she has been searching for this place her entire life. The workshop waits, patient as eternity, ready to show her secrets about time she never knew existed. Her hand still rests on the door handle, and she whispers to the waiting clocks, "I've been looking for you." The nearest clock face begins to melt like honey, its numbers floating away like dandelion seeds caught in a summer breeze. Time stutters when she blinks, and for a moment, everything holds its breath. Then the workshop settles back into its gentle rhythm, and Ilara knows there is no turning back. She releases the door handle and steps deeper into the golden light, where time itself waits to be unwound. The brass humming lullabies guide her forward, and she follows the sound toward workbenches scattered with. She steps into the workshop and sees hundreds of clocks in various states of melting, their faces drooping like liquid honey. The sight stops her breath. Grandfather clocks lean against workbenches with their pendulums frozen mid-swing, while delicate mantle clocks seem to exhale their numbers into the air like dandelion seeds caught in amber light. Alara's fingertips brush against a nearby clock face, the surface silk warmed by candlelight beneath her touch. The brass housing yields slightly, as if the metal itself has learned to breathe. Each timepiece tells a different story of surrender. Some dissolve slowly like sugar in rain, Others fractal into geometric patterns that spiral toward the ceiling. The brass humming lullabies fill every corner of the space, a harmony born from hundreds of mechanisms releasing their tension into song. Not the sharp tick-tock of urgency, but something deeper. The resonant voice of time itself, learning to rest. The sound seems to come from within the walls, as if the workshop's very bones are made of sleeping clockwork. She moves deeper into the golden light, and the air carries vanilla and warm copper on every breath. The scent wraps around her like a memory of childhood summers, when time moved slower and every moment tasted of possibility. Here, that sweetness mingles with the metallic essence of dreams being forged from hours and minutes. A small cuckoo clock catches her attention, its wooden bird emerging not to announce the hour, but to whisper something too soft to understand. Its beak opens and closes in rhythm with her heartbeat, as if learning the tempo of human time. The workshop stretches further than should be possible, filled with workbenches where liquid time pools in shallow bronze dishes. Some clocks have melted completely, leaving only puddles of gold that reflect not the ceiling above, but glimpses of moments yet to come. Elara realizes she's not witnessing destruction, but transformation. These timepieces aren't dying, they're becoming something new, something that measures not seconds but dreams, not hours but the space between heartbeats. Time stutters when she blinks, and for just an instant, every clock in the workshop chimes in perfect harmony. The sound dissolves into the brass humming lullabies that seem to whisper her name, and she knows she's found the place where lost time comes to rest. The golden light beckons her toward workbenches visible in the amber-lit distance, where tools wait to help her understand. Elara witnesses time moving backward as a shattered clock reassembles itself, whispering, "Time moves backward here." The broken grandfather clock shouldn't exist in this state, its mahogany case split down the middle, brass pendulum scattered in 3 pieces across the workshop floor. Yet, Elara watches, mesmerized, as the fragments begin their impossible dance. First, the smallest gear rolls across the wooden planks, its movement creating brass humming lullabies that echo through the amber-lit space. The sound draws its companion pieces like a magnet pulls iron filings. Click. The gear nestles into place. "Time moves backward here," Elara whispers, her voice barely disturbing the air thick with vanilla and warm copper, the scent of moments returning to their source. The pendulum's pieces float upward, defying gravity's pull. They rotate slowly in the golden light, edges seeking edges, until they fuse with the soft hiss of metal remembering its original form. Elara reaches toward the reforming timepiece, her fingertips encountering wood that feels like silk warmed by candlelight. The clock face, previously cracked into a spiderweb of lines, begins to heal. Each fracture seals itself with a gentle sigh, numbers realigning themselves. 12 at the crown, 6 at the base, as if they'd never been displaced. The brass humming lullabies grow stronger as more gears find their homes within the reassembling mechanism. Elara breathes deeper, drawing in the vanilla and warm copper that seems to emanate from time itself as it reverses its flow. She blinks. Time stutters. For just a moment, the workshop freezes, dust motes suspended like tiny amber jewels, the reforming clock caught between destruction and restoration. Then motion resumes, and the grandfather clock completes its backwards journey to wholeness. The brass pendulum swings once, twice, its rhythm perfectly synchronized with Elara's heartbeat. The wood beneath her palm pulses like silk warmed by candlelight, alive with temporal energy. "If time moves backward," she murmurs, "then every ending becomes a beginning." The workshop holds its breath, waiting for her next discovery. The brass humming lullabies seem to whisper agreement as she turns toward the deeper shadows, where more impossible things wait to reveal themselves. Drawn by the scent of vanilla and warm copper, that grow stronger with each step into the heart of temporal mystery. The polyrhythmic tick-tock of dying clocks creates a lullaby as she breathes in the warm scent of brass and vanilla. Each timepiece sings at its own tempo, some racing like hummingbird hearts, others slowing to the pace of sleepy elephants. The brass, humming lullabies drift through the amber air, metallic melodies that seem to pulse with their own gentle life. Ilara moves deeper into the workshop, her fingertips trailing along a workbench surface that feels like silk warmed by candlelight. The wood itself seems alive, breathing with the rhythm of countless mechanisms. Every surface she touches carries that same impossible softness, as if time has worn all sharp edges into gentle curves. The vanilla and warm copper scent grows stronger here, sweet and metallic like childhood memories of her grandfather's toolshed mixed with her grandmother's baking. It's the smell of creation and patience, of hands that work slowly and with love. A cuckoo clock catches her attention, its bird emerging not on the hour, but whenever it feels like singing. The little wooden creature opens its beak and releases not a cuckoo call, but a soft harmonic note that joins the brass humming lullabies surrounding them. "You're all singing together," Ilara whispers, her voice barely audible above the gentle cacophony. "Even as you're coming apart, you're making music." She reaches toward a grandfather clock whose pendulum swings through liquid air, each movement leaving golden trails, like honey dripping from a spoon. The metal feels like silk warmed by candlelight against her palm, and she closes her eyes. The workshop pulses around her, breathing with the rhythm of unwinding springs and melting gears. Time itself has become a lullaby here, each tick and tock a note in an endless, peaceful song. Her breath synchronizes with the brass humming lullabies as she prepares to explore deeper into this place where time becomes music and music becomes. In the amber-lit stillness, Ilara's fingertips hover above a pocket watch, whose silver face ripples like water disturbed by rain. The brass humming lullabies grow softer here, as if the melting timepiece holds its breath in anticipation of her touch. She presses her palm against the watch's surface. Silk, warmed by candlelight, spreads beneath her skin, impossibly smooth and alive with gentle heat. The metal doesn't feel cold or hard, but soft as fabric that has absorbed years of summer afternoons. The moment her flesh meets the dissolving silver, memories bloom like flowers opening in fast forward. She sees weathered hands, her grandmother's hands, winding this very watch every Sunday morning. The soft click, click, click of the winding mechanism, mixing with the scent of vanilla and warm copper that always clung to Nana's kitchen. "Oh," Ilara whispers, her voice catching on the word like silk snagging on thorns. "You remember too, don't you?" The watch face continues its gentle dissolution, numbers floating away like dandelion seeds caught in an invisible breeze. But within that melting silver, she glimpses other moments. Christmas mornings when time moved slowly, birthday wishes blown out on cake candles, summer evenings that stretched long and lazy. The brass humming lullabies shifts, harmonizing with her heartbeat as vanilla and warm copper swirls around her like incense from a forgotten temple. Each breath draws the scent deeper until past and present blur into something sweeter than memory. The pocket watch pulls completely now, liquid silver spreading across the workbench in perfect circles, reflecting not the workshop's ceiling, but scenes of her childhood kitchen where morning light through gingham curtains made everything golden. Ilara lifts her hand, silver threads stretching between her fingers like gossamer touched by dawn, and whispers to the dissolving timepiece as workbenches visible in the amber-lit distance seem to beckon her deeper into the workshop's heart. In the amber-lit workshop, Ilara moves between the workbenches, her fingertips trailing across surfaces that feel like silk warmed by candlelight. Each clock face she touches responds with a gentle pulse, as if recognizing her presence after a long absence. The brass humming lullabies grow softer now, more personal. Each melting timepiece seems to whisper her name in harmonics only she can hear. The sound wraps around her like a familiar embrace, drawing her deeper into the workshop's heart. "I've been looking for you," she whispers to a grandfather clock, whose pendulum swings through liquid amber. The vanilla and warm copper scent intensifies, carrying with it the memory of her grandmother's kitchen, where time moved differently, slower, more deliberately, measured in the rise of bread dough and the cooling of fresh pies. A pocket watch catches her eye, its face not quite melted, numbers still visible, but swimming like fish beneath golden ice. When she lifts it, the metal feels warm against her palm, silk warmed by candlelight, and she remembers winding it every morning for her grandfather, watching his weathered hands guide hers in the ritual. "You remember me too," she breathes, and the brass humming lullabies crescendo gently, as if the entire workshop is nodding in agreement. The vanilla and warm copper grows sweeter, more concentrated, like stepping into a memory made tangible. The clocks aren't just keeping time, they're keeping her time, her moments, her lost rhythms. Each tick and tock is a heartbeat she thought she'd forgotten. Each chime, a breath she thought she'd never take again. She sets the pocket watch down carefully, and it begins to melt more slowly, as if savoring this moment of recognition. The workshop seems to exhale around her, settling into a rhythm that matches her own pulse. "We're old friends, aren't we?" she asks the melting timepieces, and somewhere in the brass humming lullabies, she hears what sounds like gentle laughter, warm and welcoming. Time stutters when she blinks, and for just a moment, she glimpses her younger self standing in this very spot, reaching for the same pocket watch with the same sense of coming home. The vision fades, but the feeling remains. She belongs here, in this place where time unravels into something beautiful, where moments become threads in tomorrow's tapestry of dreams. Ilara takes a deep breath, tasting vanilla and warm copper on her tongue, and realizes she's been searching for this place. The golden light settles around Ilara like silk, warmed by candlelight, as she moves deeper into the workshop. Her fingertips trail along a workbench, where half-melted chronometers rest in peaceful surrender. The brass humming lullabies grow softer here, more intimate, as if the clocks recognize her particular sorrow. "I used to keep perfect time," she whispers to a grandfather clock whose pendulum swings like honey through amber air. The scent of vanilla and warm copper drifts between them, carrying memories of when seconds felt like friends instead of strangers. She touches the clock's face, smooth as silk, warmed by candlelight, and watches numbers blur into gentle suggestions rather than demands. "But somewhere along the way, I lost my rhythm. days became obligations, hours turned into anxieties. The brass humming lullabies seems to respond, harmonizing with her confession like an old friend offering comfort. A music box nearby opens itself, revealing a tiny ballerina frozen mid-pirouette, her spring unwound into ribbons that catch the light. Time stopped feeling like a gift. Alara continues, breathing in the vanilla and warm copper that speaks of moments preserved in amber. It became a thief instead, stealing present moments while I worried about future ones. The workshop listens with the patience of centuries. Gears turn backward, springs uncoil into silk threads, and somewhere in the distance, a cuckoo clock calls the hour that never was. Her confession hangs in the air like incense, mixing with vanilla and warm copper until truth becomes something you can taste. The brass humming lullabies grows gentler still, as if time itself is offering forgiveness. Time stutters when she blinks, and for a moment, everything holds its breath. The workshop shimmers, reset and ready, but her truth remains woven into its very foundations. I've been searching everywhere for my lost rhythm, she says, her voice soft as silk warmed by candlelight. But maybe it was searching for me too. The brass humming lullabies agrees with a sound like distant church bells made of honey. And in that moment, surrounded by vanilla and warm copper, Alara feels the first gentle tick of hope beginning to wind her heart like a clock that remembers how to keep time with joy instead of just keeping time. The workshop beckons her forward, deeper into its amber heart, where broken rhythms come to learn the art of. In the golden half-light, Alara discovers that each melting timepiece holds something extraordinary. Not just hours or minutes, but captured moments suspended like dewdrops in amber. A grandfather clock's pendulum swings through what looks like her 7th birthday, complete with cake frosting and nervous giggles. The brass humming lullabies grow softer here, as if the workshop itself is holding its breath. She reaches toward a small mantel clock whose face ripples like water. Her fingertips find surface smooth as silk warmed by candlelight, and suddenly she's 8 years old again. Watching snow fall through kitchen windows, the scent of vanilla and warm copper mingles with phantom hot chocolate, making her chest tight with longing. You collect more than time, she whispers to the workshop. You collect what time meant to us. A pocket watch nearby contains someone's last dance, the figures moving in slow circles behind its crystal face. Another holds a baby's first laugh, playing on endless repeat like a music box that never winds down. Each timepiece breathes with preserved life, holding moments too precious to let tick away into nothing. The air shimmers as memories leak from their clockwork prisons. Her grandmother's hands teaching her to knead bread, first kisses stolen under streetlights, the weight of diploma paper between trembling fingers. All of it suspended here, safe from the hungry passage of ordinary time. She understands now why she was drawn to this place. Time had been stealing from her, moment by moment, until she felt hollowed out like an empty clock case. But here, nothing is truly lost. The workshop pulses gently around her, brass humming lullabies that sound almost like. In the amber-lit distance, workbenches emerge like islands in a sea of golden light. Each surface holds strange tools that shimmer with purpose, not hammers or screwdrivers, but implements for weaving time itself. Ilara feels the workshop's gentle pull, silk warmed by candlelight brushing against her palms as she steadies herself on a nearby table. The brass humming lullabies grow richer here, harmonizing with the tick-tock symphony. Each melting clock contributes its own note to the eternal song, creating layers of sound that seem to cradle her thoughts. The music doesn't rush or demand. It simply exists, patient as moonlight. "You're calling me deeper," she whispers to the workshop, breathing in the vanilla and warm copper that grows stronger with each step. The scent carries memories of her grandmother's kitchen, of birthday candles and old jewelry boxes, of moments when time felt precious rather than pressing. A grandfather clock leans against the far wall, its pendulum swinging slower than a sleeping heart. With each swing, golden droplets fall from its face like tears of joy, pooling on the floor in perfect circles. Ilara understands now. This isn't destruction, this is transformation. She moves toward the workbenches, her footsteps muffled by carpet that feels like moss after morning rain. Tools glimmer on every surface, spools of unwound seconds, needles that can pierce the fabric of minutes, scissors designed to cut sorrow from joy without damaging either. The workshop doesn't just invite her deeper, it welcomes her home to a place she never knew existed. Her fingers trace silk warmed by candlelight along the edge of the nearest bench, and she knows her real work is about to begin as she crosses toward the workshop's beating heart. In the amber-lit doorway, Ilara hesitates for one final moment, her fingers trailing along the oak frame. The wood feels silk warmed by candlelight, smooth and inviting beneath her touch. Behind her, the forgotten corridor whispers with emptiness, but ahead, the workshop pulses with gentle life. The brass humming lullabies grows stronger as she steps forward, a metallic song that seems to rise from the very foundations of the building. Each melting clock contributes its own note to this eternal symphony, creating harmonies that spiral upward like incense smoke. "There's no going back now," she whispers to herself, and the workshop seems to nod in agreement. The vanilla and warm copper scent grows richer with each step, wrapping around her like a familiar embrace. It's the smell of time itself becoming something tender, something that no longer cuts but caresses. Her footsteps echo softly on worn wooden floorboards that creak with the weight of centuries. The melting clocks seem to turn toward her as she passes, their drooping faces reflecting the golden light in ways that make them appear almost alive, almost grateful for her presence. The workbenches ahead beckon with their scattered tools and pools of liquid time. She can see brass gears floating in honey-thick puddles, their edges softened by transformation. Everything here exists in a state of beautiful surrender. letting go of rigid form to become something more fluid, more forgiving. As Alara moves deeper into the workshop's heart, leaving the threshold behind forever, the door begins to close with the softest whisper. The brass humming lullabies swell to welcome her, and she knows she has found the place where broken time comes to heal. The door settles into its frame with a gentle click, sealing her inside this world where moments flow like honey.
Alara moves deeper into the workshop's heart, where ancient workbenches stretch like altar tables beneath pools of amber light. Each surface holds remnants of clockwork dreams, half-melted gears that gleam silk-warmed by candlelight beneath her wandering fingertips. The brass humming lullabies grow richer here, harmonizing with the gentle dissolution of springs and pendulums. Mainsprings uncoil like sleeping serpents, their tension releasing decades of captured seconds into the vanilla and warm copper air that fills her lungs with each breath. "These benches have witnessed eternity," she whispers, running her palm across wood worn smooth by countless clockmakers' hands. The grain feels like silk warmed by candlelight, each wall and line a testament to patient craftsmanship. Golden puddles of liquid time pool in the workshop's corners, their surfaces reflecting not the ceiling above, but fragments of forgotten afternoons. A child's birthday, autumn leaves falling, the last dance at a wedding long past. The brass humming lullabies seem to emerge from these pools as if time itself has learned to sing. She approaches the largest workbench, where a grandfather clock stands in slow motion collapse. Its wooden case breathes like a living thing, expanding and contracting as the mechanisms within transform. The vanilla and warm copper scent intensifies, carrying whispers of every hour this clock has counted. Alara places both hands flat against the bench's surface. The wood pulses with accumulated time, decades of tick-tock absorbed into its fibers. "You hold all their stories," she murmurs, feeling the bench's memories flow through her palms like silk warmed by candlelight. Above her, clock faces melt downward like honey, their numbers becoming abstract art against the workshop's walls. The brass humming lullabies create a symphony of surrender, each note a moment choosing to become something beyond measurement. Time stutters as she blinks, and liquid time begins to pool around her feet, like golden morning mist.
In the amber-lit depths of the workshop, Alara moves between workbenches where time has pooled into golden honey. Her fingers hover above the first strand of unwound time. It gleams like spun starlight waiting to be gathered. "You're not lost," she whispers to the thread, "just transformed." The moment she touches it, the sensation floods through her fingertips, silk, warmed by candlelight, impossibly smooth, yet substantial. The thread pulses with captured seconds, each fiber holding the memory of a heartbeat, a breath, a blink between one moment and the next. Around her, the brass humming lullabies grow richer as more clocks surrender their rigid structures. A mantle clock's pendulum slows to stillness, its bronze mechanism melting into liquid music. The sound wraps around her like a gentle embrace, each note a different tempo finding harmony in the dissolution. She lifts the thread, watching it catch the amber light. The air carries vanilla and warm copper, the scent of time becoming something tender, something that can be held without breaking. Each breath tastes of preserved moments and mechanical dreams. "Every second I counted," Alara murmurs, beginning to coil the silk-soft time around her palm, "was counting me back." A grandfather clock behind her releases its springs in a cascade of golden ribbons. They flutter through the air like luminous butterflies, each one seeking her outstretched hands. She gathers them gently, feeling their warmth pulse against her skin. Silk
warmed by candlelight, each thread a different texture of time. Some feel like morning dew, others like evening mist, all of them impossibly soft and alive. Time stutters when she blinks, and suddenly she's holding twice as many threads, their golden light illuminating her face as the brass humming lullabies continue their eternal song. And she realizes the threads themselves are beginning to weave.
The workshop's strange rules unfold around Alara like pages from an impossible book. Here, clocks don't just tell time, they weave it into tapestries of memory. Each golden thread silk, warmed by candlelight beneath her wondering fingers. This place follows dream logic, she whispers, watching a grandfather clock's pendulum swing through the air and leave trails of shimmering dust. The brass humming lullabies grow stronger, harmonizing with itself in impossible ways, creating melodies that seem to echo from tomorrow and yesterday simultaneously. A cuckoo clock opens its tiny door, but instead of a bird, a butterfly made of clockwork emerges, its wings ticking in rhythm with its flight. Alara reaches out, and it lands on her palm, weightless as thought. Its metal wings warm against her skin like silk warmed by candlelight. The air carries vanilla and warm copper, growing sweeter as she moves deeper into the workshop's heart. Each breath tastes of preserved moments. Summer afternoons, winter mornings, the space between seconds, where wishes live. Time isn't broken here, Alara realizes, watching an hourglass pour its sand upward. It's reimagined. The sand forms spirals in the air, each grain catching light like tiny stars, before settling into patterns that spell words in languages she's never learned, but somehow understands. A pocket watch melts slowly across a workbench, its liquid metal pooling into the shape of a sleeping cat. The brass humming lullabies softens to match the rhythm of the cat's breathing, and Alara feels her own breath beginning to synchronize. The vanilla and warm copper grows stronger, wrapping around her like an invisible blanket. She closes her eyes for just a moment, feeling the silk-warm texture of time itself flowing through her fingers. When she opens them, ready to continue deeper, the clockwork butterfly spreads wings that shimmer like... In the amberlit depths of the workshop, Alara pauses beside a grandfather clock whose pendulum swings through liquid gold. The brass humming lullabies grow softer here, weaving through the air like invisible threads, as if the very atmosphere cushions the sound into something tangible and warm. Every tick was a heartbeat, she whispers, her fingers tracing the clock's melting face. The numbers dissolve under her touch, smooth as silk warmed by candlelight, leaving only the essence of measured time pooling like honey in her palm. Every tock a breath held in hope. The scent of vanilla and warm copper intensifies as she speaks, carrying whispers of all the moments this clock has witnessed. First steps on polished floors, last words spoken in hospital rooms, quiet Sunday mornings when time moved like honey through cathedral light, lovers' promises made at midnight. She watches a music box nearby, its ballerina spinning eternal pirouettes, as her spring uncoils into shimmering ribbons that catch the golden light. The dancer's porcelain face holds no urgency, only the peaceful acceptance of rhythm, unwinding into something more beautiful than precision. We breathe in seconds, Alara continues, feeling the workshop's pulse synchronize with her own heartbeat, creating a rhythm that exists beyond clocks. We breathe out years, and somewhere between the inhale and exhale, we find the space where time lives.
a pocket watch dissolves completely into golden threads that float toward the ceiling like dandelion seeds caught in summer wind. Each thread carries the weight of a held breath, a skipped heartbeat, a moment when time stood perfectly still and the world held its breath. The brass humming lullabies echo her words back to her, harmonizing with the sound of her own breathing, creating a symphony of presence. Here, in this place where time unravels into beauty, every exhalation becomes a prayer released into eternity. Every inhalation a promise to remain present. She reaches toward a crystal hourglass as sand flows upward like golden rain in reverse, and time stutters when she...
The brass humming lullabies grows softer as Alara approaches a small workbench tucked beneath a window where starlight filters through amber glass. There, among scattered gears and melting watch faces, sits a music box she thought lost forever. "You," she whispers, her voice catching like silk, warmed by candlelight against her throat. "I remember you." The tiny ballerina inside spins eternal pirouettes, her porcelain arms raised in graceful arcs. But something magical is happening. Her spring isn't winding down. Instead, it unravels upward, transforming into ribbons of liquid silver that float and dance in the air like living things. Ilara's fingers hover over the music box's surface, feeling the intricate carving smooth as silk warmed by candlelight. The vanilla and warm copper scent grows stronger here, mixed with something else. The ghost of her grandmother's lavender perfume, stored somehow in the wood itself. "I thought I'd lost you when grandmother passed," she murmurs, watching the silver ribbons weave themselves into complex patterns above the spinning dancer. "But you weren't lost. You were just waiting." The ballerina's dress begins to shimmer and change, its fabric becoming the same liquid time that pools on the workbenches. Each spin leaves trails of golden thread in the air, and Alara realizes the dancer isn't just performing, she's weaving. The brass humming lullabies shifts into a higher key, harmonizing with the music box's own melody. Together, they create something that sounds like childhood afternoons and bedtime stories, like safety and wonder combined. Alara blinks, watching the ribbons dance, and time stutters around her like a heartbeat skipping. For just a moment, she sees her grandmother's hands winding the music box, hears her voice saying, "Time is a gift, little one. Don't hold it too tightly." The workshop settles back into its gentle rhythm, but the music box keeps spinning, and the ribbons keep weaving dreams that taste of vanilla and warm copper, dreams that feel like silk warmed by candlelight against the edges of sleep.
The music box ballerina spins eternal pirouettes, her porcelain face catching amber light as recognition blooms deep in Alara's chest. This isn't just any music box. It's her music box, the precious treasure that vanished from her childhood bedroom on a storm-swept Tuesday decades ago, leaving only the echo of its melody in her dreams. "I thought you were lost forever," she whispers, her fingertips tracing the familiar brass key with reverent care. The metal feels like silk warmed by candlelight, exactly as it did when she was 7 years old, winding it every single night before sleep claimed her. The brass humming lullabies grows softer here, more intimate, harmonizing with the delicate melody that tinkles from the tiny dancer's miniature stage. The scent of vanilla and warm copper intensifies around her, but now it carries something achingly familiar. The ghost of her grandmother's lavender perfume, the comforting smell of Saturday mornings spent in dusty attics, hunting for forgotten treasures. This music box was her grandmother's final gift, wrapped in tissue paper that crinkled like autumn leaves between eager fingers. Elara kneels beside the workbench, watching the ballerina's spring unwind into ribbons of liquid gold that catch the workshop's amber glow. Each graceful revolution releases a captured memory. Birthday candles flickering on chocolate cake, bedtime stories whispered in the dark. The way her grandmother's weathered voice would hum along with the melody. The entire workshop seems to hold its breath, allowing this sacred reunion between woman and treasure. You've been waiting for me all this time, she realizes, understanding flooding through her like warm honey. The music box wasn't truly lost. It was learning to unravel time itself, preparing for this perfect moment when past and present could dance together in harmony. The ballerina's final spin releases threads that shimmer like captured moonbeams, and Elara gathers them with trembling hands. Time stutters when she blinks, but the memory remains crystalline and whole. The threads begin to weave themselves in.
Elara's fingers trace the edge of a grandfather clock whose pendulum swings through liquid amber, each arc slower than the last. The brass humming lullabies grow softer here, as if the workshop itself is learning to whisper. She breathes deeply, tasting vanilla and warm copper on her tongue. The flavor of time becoming something sweeter than memory. We spend so much time counting moments, she murmurs, watching numbers float away from clock faces like dandelion seeds caught in golden light. But here, moments count us. A cuckoo clock nearby begins to melt, its wooden bird emerging, not to announce the hour, but to sing a wordless song that dissolves into the air. The sound joins the brass humming lullabies, creating harmonies that seem to emanate from the workshop's very walls. Each note carries the weight of forgotten afternoons, of children's laughter echoing through empty houses. Elara picks up a strand of unwound time, silk warmed by candlelight against her palm. It pulses gently, as if it contains its own heartbeat. She realizes each thread holds not just seconds or minutes, but the weight of what those moments meant to someone. A first kiss, a last goodbye, the pause before laughter breaks the silence. Time doesn't judge, she whispers, beginning to understand the workshop's deeper purpose. It simply holds space for everything we've ever felt. The vanilla and warm copper scent grows stronger as more clocks surrender their rigid forms, becoming something fluid and forgiving. A mantel clock's brass pendulum dissolves into golden honey, dripping onto the workbench where it forms perfect spirals that catch the amber light. Each drop carries memories, birthday candles being blown out, wedding rings exchanged, babies taking first steps. She watches a pocket watch's chain transform into gossamer threads that float upward, carrying whispered prayers and unspoken dreams. The brass humming lullabies pulse with each transformation, as if the workshop breathes with the rhythm of a sleeping heart. Elara blinks and time stutters. The workshop shimmers, resets gently, but her understanding remains. She smiles, knowing that some lessons are too important to lose, even when everything else begins to. Elara watches the ballerina spin her eternal pirouette, the tiny figure's tutu catching flecks of amber light. The spring beneath unwinds with mechanical precision, each coil releasing silk warmed by candlelight that drifts upward like golden smoke. "How many times have you danced this same dance?" she whispers to the music box, her fingertips tracing the ornate brass edges. The ballerina's painted smile never wavers, frozen in perpetual joy. The brass humming lullabies grow softer here, as if the workshop itself is holding its breath. Other clocks continue their gentle dissolution. A cuckoo clock's wooden bird melts into honey, its tiny beak opening and closing soundlessly. The grandfather clock in the corner sways, its pendulum moving through air thick as dream. Vanilla and warm copper fills her lungs as Elara leans closer to the music box. The scent carries memories of childhood Christmas mornings, of small hands winding tiny keys while snow fell outside frosted windows. She remembers the weight of anticipation, the magic of mechanical music. "I thought I'd lost you forever," she breathes, and the ballerina spins faster, as if responding to recognition. The workshop shimmers slightly, like heat waves rising from summer pavement. The golden threads she's collected begin to vibrate with harmonics that match the brass songs surrounding them. Something is shifting, something wonderful and strange. Elara's eyelids grow heavy as she watches the dance. She blinks once, slowly, savoring the moment. Time stutters. The music box resets to its beginning, the ballerina poised for her first spin. But Elara smiles, understanding now that repetition here isn't loss, it's gift. The workshop offers infinite chances to witness beauty, to collect wonder, to weave meaning from moments that might otherwise slip away. "Again," she whispers, and the ballerina begins to dance once more, her spring unwinding into ribbons of silk warmed by candlelight. The brass humming lullabies cradle them both as vanilla and warm copper sweetens the air around their eternal, gentle performance. Again and again, the ballerina spins, and Elara understands that some things are worth repeating forever. The workshop settles into its rhythm, ready to. Elara smiles, understanding that healing works through gentle repetitions. Saying again. The workshop settles back into its rhythm around her, each clock face reforming like dewdrops gathering on morning glass. Brass humming lullabies drift through the amber-lit air, creating harmonies that seem to breathe with her heartbeat. She reaches toward a grandfather clock, whose pendulum swings in slow, hypnotic arcs. The wood feels silk, warmed by candlelight beneath her fingertips, smooth and alive with its own patient pulse. "This is how time learns to forgive itself," she whispers, watching the brass weights descend like golden tears. The scent of vanilla and warm copper intensifies as more clocks begin their gentle disillusion around her. A mantle clock's face starts to soften, its numbers floating away like dandelion seeds caught in summer wind. Each digit carries a different memory. 3 o'clock holds afternoon tea with her grandmother. Midnight cradles first kisses under starlight. We think time breaks. Elara murmurs, collecting another thread of unwound hours that gleams between her fingers. But it only bends, like light through water. The thread pulses with warmth, silk warmed by candlelight, carrying the weight of 1,000 yesterdays. The brass humming lullabies grow softer, more intimate, as if the workshop itself is settling into deeper sleep. A music box ballerina continues her eternal dance, her spring unwinding into ribbons that catch the golden light. Each turn releases more of that vanilla and warm copper fragrance, sweet with the essence of preserved moments. Elara closes her eyes and feels the workshop's heartbeat synchronize with her own. When she opens them again, time stutters gently, and she sees the same scene with new understanding. This repetition isn't emptiness, it's fullness. Each reset brings deeper peace, like waves washing shells smooth on an endless shore. Again, she breathes, and the word itself becomes a prayer, a promise, a lullaby that the brass voices echo back to her in perfect, patient harmony. The threads of time continue weaving themselves into tomorrows.
The golden threads pool in Elara's palms like liquid starlight, each one silk warmed by candlelight against her fingertips. She lifts a strand toward the amber glow, watching it catch the workshop's eternal light. Every thread holds a different kind of time, she whispers, her voice joining the brass humming lullabies that drift from the melting clockwork scattered across the workbenches. The metallic song seems to guide her movements as she begins to weave. The air carries vanilla and warm copper, the scent of moments transforming from rigid measurement into something alive and breathing. Each inhale brings the sweetness of preserved memories, the metallic tang of gears surrendering their mechanical precision. Her fingers move with instinctive grace, threading silver strands of laughter through copper wires of quiet contemplation. The silk, warmed by candlelight, flows between her hands like water made solid, each thread a different weight, a different warmth. Time isn't meant to be counted, Elara murmurs, watching as a strand of deep blue sorrow weaves naturally beside rose gold joy. It's meant to be felt. The brass humming lullabies grow softer, more harmonious, as if the workshop itself approves of her work. Clock faces continue their gentle dissolution in the background, feeding new threads to her growing tapestry. She holds up her beginning work, a small square where moments dance together in patterns that shouldn't exist, but feel perfectly right. The vanilla and warm copper scent seems to pulse from the weaving itself, as if time has found its true form. Here, every moment belongs, she breathes, her hands steady as she continues. The silk warmed by candlelight threads seem to know where they want to go, guiding her fingers toward their destined places. Around her, the workshop settles deeper into its eternal rhythm, the brass humming lullabies becoming a gentle encouragement. Each thread she weaves feels like a small healing, a tiny restoration of time's natural flow. Time stutters when she blinks and she smiles, understanding that even pauses have their place in the pattern. The workshop continues its quiet breathing around her, ready to support whatever emerges from the weaving. Her fingers trace the growing tapestry as she prepares to add the next thread to.
Elara works with threads of joy that shimmer silver, sorrow that flows deep blue, and love that glows rose gold. Each strand feels like silk warmed by candlelight as she weaves them together, her fingers moving in ancient patterns that seem to remember themselves. The brass humming lullabies grow richer now,
harmonizing with her movements. Every clock in the workshop sings in perfect discord, creating a symphony that makes her heart slow to match their rhythm. She breathes deeply, tasting vanilla and warm copper on her tongue, the essence of time becoming something beautiful. "Look how they dance together," she whispers, watching the threads spiral and merge. The silver joy doesn't overpower the blue sorrow. Instead, they create depth, like shadows that make light more precious. The rose gold love weaves through both, binding them with tenderness. Her tapestry grows larger with each pass of her hands. In its weaving, she sees faces of people she's loved, moments of laughter that still echo in quiet rooms, tears that watered gardens of wisdom. The fabric pulses with life, each thread a heartbeat, each intersection a choice that led to growth. The workshop around her hums with approval. Clocks melt slower now, as if time itself is learning patience from her work. The vanilla and warm copper scent deepens, becoming richer, more complex, like a memory that gains sweetness with distance. "Every ending becomes a beginning," she says, holding up a section where dark blue transforms into silver light. "Every loss teaches us how to find." Her fingers trace the pattern, feeling how each thread supports the others, how weakness becomes strength when woven with care. Time stutters when she blinks, but the tapestry remains. Ilara's fingers trace the growing tapestry, each thread silk warmed by candlelight beneath her touch. The weaving pulses with its own rhythm, not the mechanical tick-tock of ordinary clocks, but something deeper, more alive. "Time isn't linear here," she whispers, watching silver threads of laughter spiral into copper moments of quiet joy. It's circular, like a lullaby that never ends. The brass humming lullabies grow richer around her, harmonizing with themselves in impossible ways. Past melodies echo forward, while future songs reach backward, creating a symphony that exists in all moments at once. The workshop breathes with this music, walls expanding and contracting like gentle lungs. Vanilla and warm copper fill the air as another clock face dissolves, its numbers floating away like dandelion seeds. But instead of disappearing, they drift in slow circles, returning to their starting positions, beginning their dance anew. "Every ending becomes a beginning," Ilara murmurs, her voice joining the brass song. A grandfather clock nearby chimes 13 times, an impossible hour that somehow makes perfect sense. Its pendulum swings not left to right, but through all the spaces between seconds, gathering moments like a net gathers fish. She holds up her tapestry, seeing how each thread connects to every other thread, forming patterns that loop back on themselves. Joy feeds into sorrow, which nurtures growth, which blooms into joy again. The cycle complete, eternal, comforting. A music box ballerina spins nearby, her spring unwinding into ribbons that flow upward, defying gravity. But as Ilara watches, the ribbons begin to curl back, rewinding themselves, preparing to dance again. Time stutters when she blinks, but instead of resetting, the moment stretches like taffy, sweet and golden. She realizes she's not watching time unravel, she's watching it learn to play. The workshop grows warmer, more alive. Liquid time pools on workbenches reflect not the ceiling above, but the sky of every dawn and dusk that ever was. In these pools, Ilara sees her own reflection multiplied across countless moments, all the versions of herself that existed, exist, and will exist. "We're all connected," she breathes, understanding flooding through her like warm honey. Every moment is every other moment seen from a different angle. The brass lullabies crescendo softly as golden threads continue weaving themselves through space, creating patterns that spell out stories written in the language of dreams and starlight.
The tapestry nears completion beneath Alara's gentle hands, each thread finding its destined place in the grand weaving. Silver joy spirals through deep blue sorrow, while rose gold love binds them all together in patterns that shift like living constellations. "Look how they dance together," she whispers, her fingers tracing silk warmed by candlelight where the threads intersect. The brass humming lullabies grow richer as more connections form, each note finding harmony with its neighbors in an eternal symphony of dissolved time. The scent of vanilla and warm copper intensifies as moments crystallize into their final positions. Childhood laughter threading through adult tears, first loves weaving beside last goodbyes, all of it necessary, all of it beautiful in the greater design. Alara steps back to witness her work. The tapestry pulses with gentle light, showing how all moments, the painful and the beautiful, the rushed and the lingering, create perfect wholeness when viewed from this timeless perspective. No thread stands alone. Each draws meaning from its connection to the infinite weave. Every heartbeat was preparation, she breathes, understanding flooding through her like warm honey. Every sorrow carved space for greater joy. Every ending made room for new beginnings. The workshop seems to exhale around her, mechanisms settling into deeper peace as her revelation spreads through the amber air. Clocks slow their melting. Threads pause in their unwinding, as if the entire space waits to witness her final understanding. She places her palm against the completed tapestry. Through silk warmed by candlelight, she feels the pulse of universal rhythm, not the frantic tick-tock of counting seconds, but the deeper heartbeat of existence itself, patient and eternal. Time stutters when she blinks, but for once the reset feels like. Ilara's fingers trace the completed sections of her tapestry, each thread silk warmed by candlelight beneath her touch. The weaving pulses with captured moments, silver joy intertwined with deep blue sorrow, rose gold love threading through amber memories of childhood summers and winter mornings. Around her, the brass humming lullabies grow softer, more intimate, as if the workshop itself leans closer to witness her profound revelation. "I can release these moments now," she whispers, her voice barely audible above the metallic song that resonates through copper pipes and golden gears. The air carries vanilla and warm copper, but now there's something else. The scent of letting go, like autumn leaves releasing their hold on branches, like morning mist dissolving into sunlight. She realizes she's been clutching time like a drowning person clutches driftwood, afraid that loosening her grip would mean losing everything precious. But here, in this sacred place where clocks melt into honey and seconds become silk threads, she understands differently. The tapestry doesn't capture moments, it sets them free to dance in eternal patterns. A grandfather clock nearby dissolves its face into liquid gold, the Roman numerals floating away like dandelion seeds on invisible winds. Alara watches without sadness, without the desperate need to catch and preserve. "They're safe in the weaving," she murmurs, running her palm across the threads that feel like silk warmed by candlelight. Each one humming with its own gentle story.
The brass humming lullabies shift to a new harmony, welcoming and warm. Each melting timepiece adds its voice to the song, creating a symphony of release that fills every corner of the workshop. The air grows thick with vanilla and warm copper, but now it smells like freedom, sweet and metallic and infinite. Alara's shoulders relax for the first time in years. She doesn't need to hold on to time so tightly anymore. Time holds itself, weaves itself, loves itself into being. The tapestry shimmers, complete and perfect, as the workshop begins to. Ada lifts the completed tapestry toward the amber light, watching how captured moments shimmer and dance within the golden threads, like fireflies in honey. Each woven strand feels silk, warmed by candlelight beneath her fingertips, impossibly soft yet strong enough to hold entire lifetimes of joy and sorrow. The brass humming lullabies grow gentler now, mellowing into deeper harmonies, as if the workshop itself sighs with profound satisfaction at her careful work. "I can release these moments now," she whispers, her voice barely audible above the metallic song. She breathes deeply, drawing in the vanilla and warm copper that rises from the tapestry like sacred incense. They are safe in the weaving, safer than they ever were locked inside my heart. The realization blooms through her chest like sunrise breaking over mountains. She no longer needs to clutch her precious memories so tightly, afraid they'll slip away like sand through desperate, grasping fingers. Here, in this miraculous place where time unravels into pure beauty, every treasured second has found its proper home within the golden threads. A grandfather clock nearby melts slower now, almost reluctantly, its brass pendulum dissolving into ribbons of pure light that drift toward the tapestry like blessing moths. The brass humming lullabies seem to approve of this gentle surrender, harmonizing with the clockwork's graceful dissolution. Alara traces a silver thread that pulses with her grandmother's laughter, then follows a deep blue strand that cradles an old heartbreak with infinite tenderness. "You're all safe now," she murmurs to the woven moments, her words carrying the weight of a sacred promise. The vanilla and warm copper swirls around her like cathedral incense, carrying the very essence of time preserved and transformed. Her fingers follow a rose gold thread that thrums with first love's electricity, watching how it intertwines perfectly with threads of loss, hope, and quiet joy. The workshop's amber light softens as this deep understanding settles into her bones like warmth sinking into winter earth. Release doesn't mean forgetting. It means trusting the eternal weaving to hold what truly matters, while letting her heart grow light as silk, warmed by candlelight once more. Time stutters when she blinks, but now the workshop begins to fade as Alara prepares to leave, having learned what she came to understand. Golden clock faces blur at their edges like watercolors bleeding into dream, their brass surfaces still humming lullabies that echo through dimensions of sleep. She touches the final workbench, wood grains smooth as silk warmed by candlelight, beneath her fingertips, and feels the vanilla and warm copper scent of dissolving hours wrap around her like a gentle embrace. "I understand now," she whispers to the melting timepieces. "You were never broken. You were just transforming."
The grandfather clocks sway slightly, their pendulums moving through honey-thick air as liquid time pools gather at their bases like molten starlight. Each tick-tock becomes a brass humming lullaby, softer now, more distant, as if the workshop itself is learning to sleep. Lara's breath mingles with the vanilla and warm copper atmosphere, creating small clouds that shimmer and dissipate into forgotten moments. She runs her palm along a dissolving music box, feeling the silk warmed by candlelight texture of its melting surface. The dancing ballerina inside turns slower, her spring unwinding into ribbons that float upward like golden smoke. The brass humming lullabies crescendo gently as all the workshop's timepieces sing their final notes in perfect, drowsy harmony that makes her eyelids heavy. Time doesn't need to be kept, Alara realizes, watching the walls themselves begin to soften like butter in summer heat. It just needs to be loved. The workshop sighs around her, its vanilla and warm copper breath releasing decades of carefully tended moments into the ether. Everything silk warmed by candlelight dissolves as brass humming lullabies guide her toward the slowly materializing door, and she knows that learning to let go means trusting time's gentle hands. Alara sets down her weaving tools with reverence, watching the final golden thread settle into place. The tapestry before her shimmers with captured moments, each one precious, each one released. Her fingers trail across its surface, finding its silk warmed by candlelight, impossibly soft, yet strong enough to hold eternity. Time teaches us to let go by never letting us hold on, she whispers, her voice joining the brass humming lullabies that drift from every corner of the workshop. The sound has grown deeper now, more resonant, like ancient bells singing underwater. Each note carries the wisdom of surrender. The air swirls with vanilla and warm copper, sweet and metallic, the very scent of moments transforming from memory into peace. She breathes it in slowly, feeling her chest rise and fall in rhythm with the workshop's eternal heartbeat. Around her, the clocks continue their gentle dissolution. A grandfather clock's pendulum swings one final arc before melting into liquid starlight. A cuckoo clock's wooden bird dissolves mid-song, its melody becoming part of the brass symphony that never ends. Alara understands now. This place doesn't exist to preserve time, but to teach the beauty of release. Every tick that becomes a thread, every tock that transforms into tapestry, shows her that holding tight creates suffering, while letting go creates art. She turns toward the workshop's edges, where amber light begins to soften into something even more gentle. The workbenches blur slightly, their sharp edges becoming dreams. Her own reflection in a melting mirror shows not her face, but the face of peace itself. I don't need to carry these moments anymore, she says, touching her heart. They're safe in the weaving, safe in the letting go. Time stutters when she blinks, but this time something different happens. Instead of resetting, the workshop begins to transform around her, walls becoming stars, ceiling becoming infinite sky. Time stutters one last time as Alara blinks, watching the workshop transform around her. The brass humming lullabies deepen into something even more ancient, like the first song ever sung. Every surface feels silk warmed by candlelight, but softer now, as if the very air has become touchable velvet. The vanilla and warm copper scent shifts, becoming sweeter, more like her grandmother's kitchen on Sunday mornings, when time moved slowly and deliberately. The melting clocks don't reset this time. Instead, they dissolve completely into pools of liquid starlight that reflect not the ceiling but infinite possibilities. This is how time truly moves, Alara whispers, her voice barely audible above the brass humming lullabies that now sound like distant ocean waves. Not forward or backward, but inward, into the heart of every moment we've ever lived. The golden threads she's been weaving rise from her tapestry, floating like luminous spider silk warmed by candlelight. They spiral upward, creating constellations of memory and dream. Each thread pulses with the vanilla and warm copper breath of dissolved hours, carrying the essence of every second she's ever treasured. The workshop walls fade to transparent mist, revealing an endless garden of clockwork flowers that bloom and close in perfect rhythm. Their petals feel silk warmed by candlelight when they brush against her skin, and their opening creates the gentlest brass humming lullabies she's ever heard. Alara sets down her final tool, understanding that her work here is complete. The vanilla and warm copper air grows thin, ethereal, as if she's breathing pure contentment. She turns toward a doorway that wasn't there before, one made entirely of woven light. "Sleep now," she whispers to the eternal workshop. "Time will take care of itself, and dreams will take care of..." Alara places her weaving tools aside, each one settling onto the workbench with the gentle weight of silk warmed by candlelight. The brass humming lullabies soften to whispers as she steps back from her completed tapestry, breathing in the vanilla and warm copper that clings to her fingertips like morning mist. "Sleep now," she murmurs to the workshop, her voice threading through the amber light. "Time will take care of itself." The golden threads she's woven shimmer in the fading glow, each strand a moment transformed from memory into something eternal. Her hands, still tingling with the texture of unwound hours, release their final hold on the work. The tapestry doesn't need her anymore. It breathes with its own rhythm now, pulsing gently like a sleeping heart. Around her, the melting clocks slowed their dissolution, their faces pooling into perfect circles of liquid light. The workshop itself seems to exhale, releasing decades of held breath into the sweetened air. Brass gears settle into their final positions, no longer turning, but singing their metallic lullabies in harmonious whispers. She moves toward the oak door, each step lighter than the last. The vanilla and warm copper scent grows stronger, wrapping around her like a farewell embrace. Behind her, the workbenches fade into gentle shadows, their purpose fulfilled. The door handle feels smooth as silk, warmed by candlelight beneath her palm. She turns it slowly, listening to the brass humming lullabies that will continue long after she's gone. The workshop will keep its eternal work, weaving dreams from unwound time, transforming moments into peace. As she crosses the threshold, time stutters when she blinks. The workshop transforms into something even more peaceful, and Alara places her weaving tools aside and moves toward the door, offering, "Sleep now. Time will take care of itself." The brass humming lullabies grow softer as she approaches the threshold, each note dissolving into silk warmed by candlelight against her skin. The air carries vanilla and warm copper, sweet with the memory of every moment she's touched and released. She pauses at the doorway, turning back to see the workshop in its eternal rhythm. Golden threads continue weaving themselves through the amber light, creating tapestries that shimmer and fade like dreams half remembered. The melting clocks sing their metallic lullabies, each tick a whispered promise that time knows how to heal itself. "Thank you," she breathes, her voice joining the brass humming lullabies that flow like honey through the space. Her fingertips trail along the doorframe one last time, silk warmed by candlelight, smooth as a mother's touch. The scent of vanilla and warm copper wraps around her like an embrace from every moment she's ever loved. The workshop breathes with quiet contentment, its workbenches glowing with pools of liquid time that reflect not the ceiling, but memories of every heart that has ever beaten in rhythm with love. Music boxes continue their eternal dance, their springs unwinding into ribbons of starlight that weave themselves into tomorrow's dream. As she steps through the doorway, the workshop doesn't disappear. It continues its quiet work behind her, weaving dreams from unwound hours, spinning comfort from forgotten seconds. The brass humming lullabies follow her into sleep, gentle as breathing, soft as silk warmed by candlelight. The vanilla and warm copper scent lingers like a blessing. Your body becomes weightless as thought itself, drifting through dreams that taste of starlight. The sleep clouds gather close, warm as whispered lullabies, and carry you gently toward rest. Around you, stars pulse slower, fainter, until they become memory. The velvet darkness folds like a soft curtain, cradling your breath, your bones, your quiet mind. Time no longer stutters, because time no longer matters. And as the final shimmer of light dissolves behind your eyes, sleep takes your hand, and everything else fades to peace.